conversation today. So, how many of you guys heard about Oprah Winfrey?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? What about Bill Gates?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So, what about Donald Trump?
Yes.
Okay. So, if you want to be a real estate, if you want to go into real estate and Donald Trump were to come here, wouldn't you take notes? Wouldn't you listen to him? Wouldn't you give your full mind, open mind?
Yes.
So, wouldn't you agree there are people like Donald Trump or Oprah Winfrey or certain multimillionaires that are not out there in public, but that exist in reality?
Yes.
So, there's a man in this room today that you guys are going to get to hear from in a little bit that's done amazing things. In my opinion, that have done way more than what Donald Trump or Oprah Winfrey have done, because it's amazing what they've done in terms of creating wealth, but this man have actually created wealth for himself, and he have duplicated that. Not one time, not two times, over 100 times. And I'm not talking about just to hype you guys up. I mean, these are bona fide multi-millionaires that you could look up that he have personally coached and trained
That's awesome. That's true.
through this amazing opportunity. And send over 200 kids through college. I mean, that's powerful. I would love to send 200 kids through college.
Yes.
I mean, so I want you guys to stand to your feet and welcome Mr. Byron Nelson.
Yeah.
Awesome. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Sala said all those great things about me, but how many people just like hearing? Because when he said those things, I'm looking for somebody else to come up. Are y'all with me on this one? I'm like, okay, I want to hear from this guy. But I like an intimate crowd. I like small numbers. I believe in the concept of that it's easier to run with 3 than to drag 1,000. How many people understand that conversation?
Yes.
You know, so it's not a convincing conversation. It's not a sales pitch. This is a very casual Sunday. It's beautiful. Yesterday, I left 35-degree weather to come back to 92-degree weather. So
Oh, man.
you can imagine the extremities of just life as it is, and just the transition. And if I knew that some of you guys were going to get dressed up, I would have put on some better clothes. But it's a beautiful Sunday, so it's just a lax Sunday. I actually had expected this day more so to just share information, to train, and just to really be able to just break down a few strategies. So I didn't really come prepped to be all dressed up, but I thank you guys for those that did come looking cute. So all that being said, I want to go through a 1 through 10. The reason why you've been invited is because there's a movement going on. There's a movement that is massive. It's special to me. It's special to each person that's here with you. And more so than anything else, it's just an invitation. It's not a sales pitch. It's not a convincing conversation. It's one of those things that if you believe in God and I believe in God, we're going to have an amazing conversation. If you don't believe in God, you're an atheist, and I believe in God, it's going to be a short conversation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And that's not a slight against people that don't believe in God. I mean, I teach, and my minor was theology was my major. Then I made my major business, but I've been an academician of religion for quite some time, so I have an amazing following of Hasidic Jews. I have an amazing following of Protestants. I have from Buddhists to Mormons to Jews to Catholic. So I believe there's only one God. You could call him whatever you want, Allah, Yahweh, Jesus Christ. Is everybody with me on that so far? Yeah. But in all that being said, it's just my main focus of you getting this conversation is to not think that I have a bias towards any one or the other, outside of the fact that I'm a Christian. I take great pride in that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You know what I mean on that so far? So if this guy over here likes guys and I like women, I don't have a bias towards him. I just like women. It's going to be a short conversation.
Right.
Because I like women. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not making judgment, making him wrong. It just means that we aren't going to have a whole lot to talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
So in that being said, if you believe in being wealthy, and I believe in being wealthy, we're going to have an amazing conversation.
That's right.
If you believe in mediocrity, and I believe in greatness, it's going to be a short conversation.
Very short.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
So it has nothing to do with what it is. It has everything to do with who it is.
Yes.
That's right.
So those that are taking mental notes, I need you to be very clear on what I'm talking about in that regards. So I saw this business a little over now pushing 20 years. I've taken several years off. I've lived in Italy. I took 3 years off. I traveled around the world. I've helped with autism. I have a great affection and affinity towards autism. I have a great affinity and affection towards Alzheimer's disease. I have a great affinity towards children and education. I believe in the biblical terms that it takes a village to raise a child, from an African proverb, and that, out of the mouth of babes, we shall hear the truth.
That's right.
So in that, I believe that it's our responsibility to raise up the next nation, if that makes sense to people. And that gets into a whole conversation of goes. This business for me, I never did network marketing in my life. For those looking at it for the first time, I never did network marketing. And the reason being, I'm not into lotion, potions, and water filters. I was approached with everything: Amway, Mary Kay, Prepaid Legal, Noni Juice, Monavie, Kagan Water, World Financial Group, Gano, Organo, you name it, World Travel Group. I was approached by everything, and still am today. If you had caught me over 20 years ago, I would have looked at you and said, is it a pyramid? Is it a Ponzi scheme? Is it one of those things? Today, I've been able to train multitude of individuals, and really over 10 of the top #1 money earners in all of their companies throughout the industry. So I endorse the entire industry of network marketing. Is everybody with me on that so far?
Yes.
And the reason being is because my mentor was very clear. He said, it's okay to be ignorant, it's not okay to be stupid. Ignorance means you just don't know. I did not know network marketing has created more multimillionaires and billionaires than any other industry in the world. I didn't know that. I didn't know that 50% of the revenue generated out of Russia and Japan came from this realm of doing business. I was taught how to get a good education and then go get a good job. How many people have figured out good and job don't go together? I tell people, if you have a good job, go to work, slap your boss on Monday, tomorrow, and if you still have a job, that's a good job. I mean, slap the hell out of them too. Make sure you get your money's worth. And if you keep that job, I was looking at an interview, I think it was this morning, on Damon Dash, and he was in a major argument with a radio broadcaster about, I think, Precious, you posted that, right? About owning a business and the ignorance of a person that, the challenge is that we as a people collectively have been mentally incarcerated to actually believe that we actually own something when we don't, because we have a title. I did a ministry on my 40 days and 40 nights last week on titles versus testimonial. You can have a title or you can have a testimonial. I like testimonial a lot better. So many people live off their titles. I have an MBA, I have a BA, I have a BS, I have a PhD, I have an MD, I have an LMNOP. Or I've changed thousands of lives. I've realigned family trees. I have created generational wealth. I have left more than just 3 generations of wealth. I have left an infinite amount of wealth. I have had the blessing of being able to see children live because I lived. It's a hell of a statement right there. Did anybody catch that right there?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So when we take out the concept or the definition of what we think it is, and then get into knowing who we are. Let me say that again. When we take out the concept of what we think it is and get into knowing who we are. Hence, from a biblical perspective, it says, I am. It doesn't say I'm trying, I think, I hope, let's do our best. It says, I am. I mean, cartoons have even mimicked this. I mean, Popeye didn't say it. It said, I am. I am Popeye. Right? Is anybody getting this conversation?
Yes.
Right? So before we start a business, what we have to establish is the product or service that we're going to offer the people that we know, do they need it? We can make millions of dollars if we got involved with jet fuel, but then I'd have to ask each one of you, how many people do you know own a jet? So even if you were willed all the oil of OPEC and all the gas of Shell, you still set yourself up for bankruptcy. Bless you. But if I were to ask you, how many people do you know own a cell phone? How many people know got a cell phone? Everybody. It's rhetorical. How many people, brother, you know use the internet? Everybody. Hypothetically, how many people know you have cable TV? Theoretically. Most people, right? Right. I'm from Chicago. You see it yet? Pack on, right? So. But let's just say you came to me and said, look, Byron, if I could show you a way to save up to 30, 40, 50% on a bill that you already have, No cost, no commitment, no contract. Nothing's going to change. Your bills are just going to go down. Would you support my business? Being a friend of 10 years. We went to high school together. We went to elementary school together. We grew up together. I said yes. You asked me to become a customer one time. How long will we be paying our bills? Forever. And how often are we supposed to pay our bills?
Every month.
Every month. So you did something one time, you're going to get paid every month, forever. Can anybody get excited about that conversation?
Yes.
That's exciting to me. That's called residual income. There's only 3 ways you get wealthy. I make a great distinction between rich and wealth. Rich is what you have, wealth is what you have to give away. Jesus was the word before he became Jesus. Regardless of whatever your creed or culture or race or religion is, even if you are not of Christianity, I say take it as academic because you can learn from it. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
And so if he was the word, that's why the tongue can actually give life or kill. It really can. And so understanding that word or just understanding the power of words. My only request of you, if you're looking at it for the first time, is make a decision. DE comes from the Latin derivative there, which it came from. Psi goes along with suicide, genocide, patricide. It means to kill off every other option. In fact, it goes along with homicide. Oh, that's scary. Is everybody with me on that so far?
Yes.
So all I want you to do is be able to make a decision, and it's something you want to be a part of or something that you don't. I like the concept that if I can get into a business and I don't have to ask anybody for any money out of their pocket, I don't have to change anyone's buying habits. I don't have to go back to them in 6 months and say, do you need some more of it? I could do something one time. You're going to pay your bills every month, which means I'm going to get paid every month, me being you. Me being you. And I'm going to have bills for the rest of my life. Wealth comes in the form of 3 things. Distribution. So water, those taking notes, you can definitely write that down. Distribution. Water, food, clothes, bottling, music, anything importing, exporting. The Asians have mastered it. Then you have equity, whether it's real property or intellectual property. Then you have residual income, which deals with branding, licensing, a lot of different facets there. I look at it like this. We are bamboozled to the thought of understanding residual bills. We get residual bills. If you lose your job, you're going to get a bill. If you get fired, you're going to get a bill. If you get a raise, you're going to get a bill. It doesn't matter what you do, you're going to get a bill. You get laid off, you quit, you change companies, you're going to get bills. You don't have a job or work for the next 6 months, you're still going to get bills. My philosophy is if you're going to have bills coming in, you need to have residual income coming in.
That's right.
That just makes, my grandmother would say, common sense and deodorant, they're cousins. The ones who need it most don't use it. It's a common sense business. It's common. I'm not selling you on getting involved with the business because you're already in. You're either going to get paid or you're going to pay somebody. Does that make sense? Yes or yes?
Yes.
So let's say you came to me and said, look, Byron, you own several properties. You have a VC, 2 of them, as a matter of fact, 2 venture capital groups. You have private ownership in a couple of restaurants. You're now buying boutique hotels. Your son is now 16 years old. Since he's 11, he's bought 1 piece of property a year since he was 11. He's on his 5th piece of property. He does coding, so he creates his own games. And he owns a marketing company, this pyramid thing. If I could show you how to save up to 30-40% on bills you already have, no cost, no commitment, no contract, nothing's going to change. Your bills are just going to get lower. Would you support my business and give it a try? I say yes. Now you asked me to become a customer how many times?
Once.
One time. How long will you have bills?
Forever.
And how often are you supposed to pay your bills?
Every month.
That is how I built a $40 million a month business. Off of 1 stream of income, where several other brothers and sisters have been in and out of thousands of companies. When I started in this business, there was over 45, there's about 44 vice presidents, 22 were black. Today, there's 600 vice presidents, 3 are black. I'm one of those 3. I control 60% of the company in like 24 countries, 4 continents. I don't say that to impress you. I say that to impress you, to really impress upon you this concept that I was interviewed last week and they said, and I was actually in Princeton. I had to stop at Princeton while I was in New York this past 3 days that I was in New York. And I did a mentoring, a private presentation for Hasidic Jews and Jews on Thursday. Then I had a private class of people that were at Princeton on Friday. And they said, we actually have 6 of our top students. We want to interview you. And 6 of them had the same question. They said, what would you say gives you the greatest amount of credibility if you were to do business anywhere in the world? I said, myself or anybody? He said, well, you and yourself, aren't they interchangeable? I said, of course they are, if the answer is the right answer. I said, you know what gives a person the greatest amount of credibility when they're doing business? Tenure. The longer you do something, the greater you become if you're moving forward. See, people can come to me and say a year later, so you're still doing that phone thing. 5 years later, so you're still doing that phone thing. 10 years later, are you still doing that phone thing? 20 years later, are you still doing that phone thing? My response, are you still broke? You still got a job? You still hustling? You still 1 month away from being destitute? Because I can lose all my money in this month and it's going to come back next month. How many people like the way that sounds?
Yes.
Yeah, love it.
And there's nothing special about me. It's just systems. Save yourself time, energy, and money. It's just a matter of leveraging, making systems work for you. You not work for systems. And so I looked at this opportunity and it just made too much sense. So I'm going to go through the 1 through 10. And I want you to just see if there's something there for you if you're here for the first time. Make sense? Yes or yes?
Yes.
Awesome. Excellent. Do we have the 1 through 10? Open it up. Yeah. Excellent. This is what we call a 1 through 10. Next. My presentation, by the way, is only about 4 minutes long. Remember I said if you believe in the same thing that I believe in, we'll get it. Is everybody with me on that so far?
Yes.
We have a lot of intelligent people in this room. You look intelligent, brother. How many minutes is in a day? No? How about you, sir? No, okay. How many, sir? No? Sir, how about yourself? Okay, 1,440 minutes. 86,400 seconds. Most people don't know how many days is left in the year because if your life isn't worth recording, you don't remember it. All you know is the day of the month. But if you look at anybody that's been extraordinary, they have an autobiography written after their name. Why? Because they journaled. 2 things you'd have, whether it's the Quran, the Torah, or the Bible. You should always have your spiritual work with you. And you should also have a journal with you because you come up with an amazing thought. And the worst lie we tell ourselves as human beings is, I'll remember. Yes or yes?
Yes.
1 through 10 presentation. Company's been around since 1993. Why is that powerful? 95% of all businesses fell within the first 12 months. We've been around for over 20 years. When I started, there was over 5,000 companies. Less than 50 of them exist today. When I started, we were just in the United States. Now we're in 24 countries. I get paid in every currency. Kind of like that. Great Britain, Germany, Sweden, Holland, Netherlands, Norway, Canada, Austria, Ireland, Italy, Spain, France, Australia, New Zealand, Poland, Canada. It just keeps going. Mexico and South America, we just opened up. People are like, how do you remember all those currencies in all those countries? Because you get paid in them, you'll remember them, especially if you're black. Are y'all with me? Absolutely. We just crossed over $1 billion. This says 800 because it was just literally over a quarter ago, 90 days ago. On top of that, we haven't even penetrated over 1% market share in anywhere in the world. So we're still not on ground floor, but on mud level. Next, you look at that. We're in Inc. Fortune Forbes, USA Today, Success Magazine. Why is that important? Because documentation beats conversation, right? This isn't our newsletter. We didn't write this up ourselves. We didn't put ourselves in Fortune. We created one of the top 5 mergers in the history of the 21st century with Quest. We took a stock from $11 to $38 a share. It split twice in the first few years. By the 5th year in business, we created one of the top 5 mergers with Quest, taking that stock from an 11 to 92 spread with 4 splits. That allowed me to retire both my mother and my father for anybody that understands stocks. And ACN is still an IPO that has not come about yet. We're still privately held. Do you understand how powerful that is?
Yes.
I mean, really to be in on a company before it goes public that already has the documentation that is just growing out of control. When this thing goes public, just imagine how many millionaires would be created overnight like that. We're in the greatest shift of wealth you'll know in the 21st century, just dealing with the word deregulation, which is that word by itself, all that word means is entrepreneurs get rich and consumers get poor. For those that understand deregulation. Is everybody following me on this?
Yes.
Yes.
Up until 1983, everybody had AT&T. After that, everybody got paid. I mean, think about it. Did you get paid off of MCI? Did you get paid off of Sprint? Did you get paid off of LinkedIn? Did you get paid off of Microsoft? Did you get paid off of, Apple? Did you get paid off of Facebook? I mean, what meeting did you go to that you missed? Because everybody else outside of our family tree and our color has gotten rich off of just getting an invitation. Did you get invited to any of the meetings?
Oh.
Somebody
Yeah.
invited you to this meeting, and somebody sitting here saying, this sounds interesting. No, interesting is that you're still working a job. Or that you're owning a business, but you really don't own a business because the business owns you.
Yes.
Is anybody understanding this conversation?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. This is our headquarters. What's really powerful about this is that we're completely solvent. Not only do we reside in this business as our world headquarters, but we own the entire building and the land that it sits on. That means we're solvent. In that building, you're able to get into this business and have over 3,000 people that work for you that you don't have to pay a payroll on. Let me say that again. You're able to launch a business, have 3,000 people employed that you don't have to pay payroll for, that work for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Next. Those are our world headquarters all over the world, which means you have a global business, a global presence online, and all you have to do is be able to say, I want to be able to do more than what I'm currently doing. Next. These are our products and so, well, what do you guys sell? What do you guys do? Exactly. We are brokers. We actually broker saving people money on bills they already have without changing a thing. That means you can keep AT&T, you can keep Verizon, you can keep Con Edison, you can keep Edison itself. You can actually keep Time Warner, or you can go over to, you can pick whatever you want. I mean, you have at least 3 of these that are up here. You either have DirecTV, Dish, Verizon. You have one of these, yes or yes?
Yes.
Everybody in here has one of these bills. So it's not a matter of do we want to get somebody in, because everybody is already in. Next. If you actually got 5 people to save money on their phone, on their fax machine, on their landline, your phone bill is free. How many people like free 99?
Yes.
So not only are you going to get your phone bill for free, but you're going to get paid off of 5 people while getting your bill free, paid for in full. If you acquire 10 gas customers or 10 electricity customers, next, your gas and electricity is free. How many people have all your bills paid for? You started your own business. You say, you know what, by opening up a McDonald's franchise, you no longer have to pay your bills at your house. I'll be the first one to open up and be honest. What you doing? Flipping burgers? What you doing? Because what do? You go to work, you make your money. What's the first thing you do? You pay your bills. So if you can get involved with a business where you can get a percentage of helping, the operative word is helping other people. So I'm helping other people in the worst economy we've known since 1938. Everyone I talk to, I'm helping them save money. I don't have to ask them for any money out of their pocket. I don't have to change their buying habits. I don't have to go back to them in 6 months and say, do you need some more of it? I don't have to get on auto shipment. I don't need to buy any vitamins, no pills, no lotions, no potions. I don't have to get no wraps. I don't have to get you no more travel plans. All I got to do is say, do you want to save money on something you already have? One time. Every month they pay their bill, you're sending me a check. And you're going to pay all my bills for free the more people I help. That just makes too much sense. Yes or yes?
Yes.
On top of that, the philanthropy of our company. In 2014, we understood there was an epidemic. 17 million kids went without eating a meal every single day. We made a commitment to feed 1 million kids in 2014. We actually superseded that and got to 1.4 million kids.
That's awesome.
Is that not huge? The leadership of what we've been able to do and being able to spearhead some of the things we have done from a philanthropic perspective have led to many of the vice presidents like myself and many others being able to develop a 501c3 and help so many other capacities of working within a PTA, school system, private school. I have my Jewish team out in New York. I just came back from there. This school, to put one child through school, cost them $123,000 per child at the age of 5. There's a syndicate of about 12 rabbis that have come together to do this. This was a 5-minute conversation for them. For me, I got to talk to a brother or sister like 2-3 hours. How do I know? Can you send me some information? It sounds really interesting. I don't know, but could you give me some? They got it in 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, 40 people came in. The next day, they brought me 120. They said, look, $500, 501c3, just getting into the business, we get the write-off right off the rip. We get up to $5,000 back just in tax write-offs. We made a 500% return just by getting involved with business if we never acquired a customer.
That's it.
Just in understanding business, because we were taught how to have an employee mentality versus an employer mentality. Next. How do we do this? He knows a lot of people that drink coffee. Brother Keith is going to get some coffee. He goes to Starbucks. He says, I like a black coffee. They said, I'll be $3. He says, but this brother sent me. If he sent you, it's only going to be $2, which we all know coffee tastes a whole lot better than $2 versus $3. The coffee only costs 50 cents to make. There's $1.50 in profit. 75 cents is paid to him. 75 cents is kept by Starbucks, and he's getting it at $1 less.
Okay.
All off of a referral. We don't have to do any billboards, no commercials, no advertisement, none of that. All we did was make a referral. 95% of all business after the first year is done on a referral. A youth program, a scholarship program, going to see a movie, going to see a good restaurant. You like Thai food? Go to Natalie Thai's. I endorse it. It's right on Venice.
Yep.
Amazing food.
Great food.
Yes or yes? How many
Yes.
people know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You go to a good restaurant. You all right, baby? You know, I need to keep you alive for a long time. I'm about to get married. I'm going to Sri Lanka. Stay alive. But is anybody getting this conversation?
Yes.
If I got it, yes or yes?
Yes.
Okay. So we eliminate the traditional methods of marketing and we go directly to the consumer. Next, number 4. You're actually going to get 10% on every customer that's acquired. How do you do that? By acquiring 20 services. So in one of my houses, I have 3 phones. That's 3 customers. I have 3 cell phones, one for me, my son, and my assistant. That's 6 customers. I have gas. That's a 7th customer. We teach you how to acquire 20 services. So me, myself, I'm good for 15 services. Why that's important to you for the first time is because we don't want you to get the perception that we go door to door, standing outside a mall, schlepping around trying to get thousands of customers. Off of 3 to 4 or 5 households, you're done for life. And then we duplicate that. Every business that makes money has to have a duplicatable system. If you go to McDonald's and the M is upside down, that's called McDonald's. You don't go. You go to McDonald's because you see those golden arches. And if you don't see them, the kids see them way before you do.
Yes.
Yes or yes?
Yes.
You go to China, you don't like the food, they cutting up dogs, there's a McDonald's. You go to McDonald's, you know what a Big Mac's gonna look like. I mean, I'm keeping it real, yes or yes? I mean, I'm just keeping it real, because I've been all over the world. And they do cut up dogs in China.
Right.
Okay? You don't know what something looks like, it looks a little funny, there's a McDonald's. I know the fries are gonna be done a certain way.
Yes.
Correct.
You're going to get 10% on every customer that you acquire by working with us, by acquiring 20 services. Let's say that you told me about it. Next, I would fall on your first level. I told my sister, she told her cousin in New York, who told somebody in Spain, who told somebody on your 4th level that might be in France next door, who told somebody. Every time someone comes in, each person that gets started is like a store. A store with no customers makes no money. So we start stores so that we can teach them how to accumulate customers or market share. Next. If the average person acquired 20 services with an average bill of $40, and we only told 2 people about the business, and we built it 7 generations down, you would be making over $11,000 a month. That's what we Let's say you quit. What would happen to your money? It would keep hitting your bank account because your customers don't know you quit. When I first started, I said, if I can make $2,000, I'm winning. If I make $5,000, oh, I'm definitely winning. If I make $11,000, my name is Rick James. Today, if I only make $11,000, I'm the brokest person I've ever seen because of the life that I've had to build for so many others. But I'm telling you, when I first started, I would have been just excited off of $1,000 a month. And so I'm sharing with you that once your mind starts to grow, your income starts to grow, your bank account starts to grow, you start to understand what you can do, your true human potential, your innate
That's right.
human potential and what you can do, nobody can sell you on being able to do less.
That's right.
That's why 90-some% of Americans end up dependent on family, government, and friends by the age of 65, and only 3% employ the rest of the world. Because that 3%, you can't tell them what can't be done. You can only tell the 97% an opinion of what you think can and can't be done. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Next. Costs $499. You start with this family. You make a decision to play this game with this family. Let me say more. Let me make it personal. You're sitting in this room. What's your name, brother? Vince and John. Sister Cynthia. Brother Vic. Esther. Any one of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or anybody else sitting here for the first time today, you play this game. You get in. You allow me to show you how I built my son a $50,000 a month income at the age of 16. If this makes any sense to you at all, and you have something worth living for, giving for, that's much bigger than money itself, because money itself, you can make money doing anything. But if you get the essence and the heartbeat of who I am, and you're looking at this for the first time today, and you decide to play this game, what's your name, brother?
Quentin.
Quentin, you include. And you don't make 100% of your money back within 30 days. I'll give you twice your money back at the end of 30 days. If you follow my coaching and you decide to play the game. You lose no money playing with me. I don't need somebody to make their money back. I need somebody who wants to make $500 an hour. That's what you're being invited to. And I have the autonomy of being able to give that invitation because I reside here. If I were doing this presentation in New York or Chicago or Atlanta, I couldn't give you that because I'm not there to coach you. But you living here, I am your greatest perspective on this business, ally on this business. I'm also your greatest curse because I'm a non-negotiable leader. I don't fluff it. I'm not going to make it nice and give you the high sign. And I'm not going to tell you you're going to get rich because only you can do that. My job is just to introduce you to the gym. If you come to the gym and you work out, it's not just going to be your time in the gym. It's going to be your diet, your sleep. But if you follow the coaching that I give you, it's impossible for you not to get in shape.
That's right.
Financially, you'll never work another job in your life in 6 months. If you own your own business, you'll be able to do it because you love doing it, not because you have to do it. That's what I offer you. Did that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Next. Month after month, year after year, residual income. That's my wife's name. Everybody say residual.
Residual.
She loves hearing her name. Next. This is now money. These are corporately earned positions that you earn now. They changed the marketing plan. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. Because there's other aspects I don't have time to go into. Merchant services is ridiculous. I just had a young lady named Miriam that I work with in New York. She just signed up for Ritz-Carlton. She has 6 kids. I don't think she's 30 years old. Interested in that whole concept. But anyway, she signed up a hotel, a Ritz-Carlton, at $2 million a month.
Damn.
In billing. Our merchant services. I signed up another guy, a friend of mine, who owns three Costco's. Hypothetically, let's just say his lowest billing is $60,000 a month per day. We were able to show just in a comparison where he could save up to $1,400 per day in just merchant services, just in his percentages of what he was spending every day in price point per transaction. Not only could he save $1,400 per day, but now he's like, well, how do I get a piece of that? Well, if you got involved, you would actually get 10% of the volume that's being spent on a daily basis. That's a turnkey offer, so I don't have to do anything other than what I'm doing. You're going to buy out my contract. You're going to lower my percentage per sale on everything that I say, that anyone that uses a debit card or a credit card. And you're going to pay me back anywhere between 5 to 10% every time someone swipes a credit card. Oh, I'm in.
No-brainer.
It's a
No-brainer.
no-brainer. Is anybody getting this so far?
Yes.
So you take into merchant services, you take into account gas and electricity, which isn't even here yet. I mean, it's just a ridiculous opportunity. This is your now money. What I showed you in 7, 6, and 5 is residual income. That means if I acquire him as a customer, first he has to use the service, then he has to pay his bill, then you get your percentage. My first residual check was only $22, but you mind getting a $22 check that a year later is $22,000. In the interim of that, I have bills right now, you being me, me being you. This allows you to get paid now money. You hit ETT, You play in this room, my job is to help you get there in 7 days. Next, next, next. You aren't going to remember this, so don't even try to understand it. Next. Here's just titles. Alphabet. All I know is you need to read next, next, next. See the last one? That's the only one I need you to understand. SVP, that's where the game starts. It is a 3-year program to SVP, a 1-year program to RVP. RVP puts you at $50,000 a month. SVP puts you at $100,000+ per month. Figure out which class you want to go to. Because if you want to make anything less than $50,000 a month, please don't do this business. I'm going to save you right now. That's a masochistic route. You put yourself through way too much pain that you don't need to. There's too many other ways to get to $50,000 a month than to do this business if you're actually wanting to make less than $50,000 a month. But if you want to make $50,000 a month, quit and have that money hit your bank account whether you get out of bed or not. You'll never find a better 1-year program.
That's right.
Is it easy? Excuse my language. Hell no.
That's right.
It's the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life. Why? Because this business is what you call a black light. Everything you don't like about yourself is going to show up. If you talk too much, it's going to show up. You don't talk at all, it's going to show up. Okay. If you have no confidence, it's going to show up. If you have an ego, it's going to show up. If you don't know how to be confident about talking to people and building empowerment within another, if you don't know how to love other people, if you're selfish, if you don't know how to step out of your comfort zone, if you don't know how to endure pain, because if you go to the gym and you work out and it didn't hurt, you didn't work out.
That's right.
You can't work the Santa Monica stairs. You can't go to Culver City stairs. You can't do the sand dunes in Hermosa Beach and run and work on your hamstrings and not hurt the next day. It's supposed to hurt when you grow. If you want to grow your income, you're going to have to grow it or let life impose its own pain upon you.
Yes.
It's a real simple conversation.
Like that.
That makes sense.
Yes.
But if I only got to do it for 1 to 3 years, undergraduate 1 year, $50,000 a month, graduate work 3 years, 6 figures and more per month. Can I please have an application to the school? I need to enroll yesterday. Will you please let me sit in front of the class? And I'm done in anywhere from 1 to 3 years, I'm in. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And I can create my own hours. I can work it in and around what I'm currently doing. I'm going to be mentored by people that have a specific mindset and a love for people and understand the philosophy that people don't care what you know unless they know that you care. That I can't make $1 unless you make 10. That I have to see you succeed in order for me to get anywhere. That I'm going to be surrounded by these type of people. I love that conversation. That I'm not going to be judged on the color of my skin or where I came from or how many pedigrees I had or how tall I am, how fat I am, but just my work ethic alone and my integrity fabric. Yes, I'm in. That's what you're being invited to. Does that make sense to anybody?
Yes.
Next. Next. The key to this is training. If you aren't willing to get trained, don't do the business. Number 1 says, I get it, I'm in. If you can make me understand how to do this, you have my full attention. Well, I have an hour and a half to be able to give you that information. We're going to start at exactly 6:30.
All right.
If you're number 1 and you just need to understand validation and want to know the how-to, because true leaders don't want the sizzle and the hype, they want to know how it works.
That's right.
I invite you for an hour and a half of your life to see if it may change your life, because I sat exactly where you're sitting right now, and I was like, I'm not going nowhere. I just need to understand.
That's right.
Number 2 says, I have some questions. You should have some questions. I did. I never did anything like this in my life. They told me to go to school, get bamboozled and brainwashed for 12 years to learn an education. I still don't remember anything from algebra. My son is 16 years old, came home and said, Daddy, I got 3 B's, I got 2 C's, and I got an A, obviously, in athletics. And that was last semester. He said, but, I got the worst grade in history. And I know you're going to be mad. Why would I be mad? It's not your history.
All right.
If you're going to do bad in a class, I'm kind of cool with that. But let's work on your English. Your writing skills, because that's what you're going to need that to be able to get where you need to go.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Right? So if you're number 2 and you have some questions, stick around. I think I'll be able to answer most of your questions on the products, the services, the strategies, how to build the business. If you're number 3, it's just not for me, then I can't do anything but just thank you for your time. Thank you for showing up. 24 hours a day. I believe a person convinced against their will is the same opinion still. I see no faces, I see no body. I think you should sponsor just one person. One person will make you flat out rich. I learned this in my first year of doing the business. I finally learned how to get rich in this business. They said, you only need one crazy person. If you can find one crazy person, somebody who has an amazing amount of work ethic, somebody who has an amazing attitude, somebody who loves people and loves to see other people elevate. You can find somebody who will work when nobody else will work, get up when nobody else will get up, stay up when nobody else will stay up. Somebody who can fall in love with just the labor itself, just understanding that Jesus was a carpenter. He worked with his hands. Somebody who can endure the pain of everybody saying it won't work. Listening to all the people closest to you telling you you're stupid and you're crazy. Living long enough to ask them, what do you think now after they asked you, can I take a loan out from you 5 years later? Every friend in my life has asked me for a loan. Every one of them that laughed at me when I first started. And not one of them talks negative about what I do today. In fact, they're my biggest cheerleaders. They talk better than me about me than my team. Once you decide that nothing's going to stop you, be amazed how the universe will get behind you. Unity being one, verse being song. Music takes everything to a whole nother. That's what makes us all one. It's a vibrational thing. That's a whole nother conversation. Is everybody following me on that so far?
Yes.
Okay. But at this point, it's just fun. The training will take you there. And that's what I'm saying. If you're number 1 and it's not for you, come back and see it again in 5 years. I'm not going nowhere.
Toast to that.
My checks will just be bigger. But the trick behind the business beyond the ego, because ego stands for edging God out. The trick behind the business and the ego is to understand that the only way that I can make $1 and get rich is to help somebody else get richer than me. That's what we love about this business, is you have to find somebody crazy enough that wants to change their own life. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I mean, it's amazing. And so I say that to say that if you can find that one person, if you can sponsor one person, can set you up for a 6-figure year or month income. And I went looking for that person. I started interviewing. I started turning over rocks. And then I finally ran into a glass that pointed in the right direction. And that glass was called a mirror. Once I sponsor me, I have to really care about anybody else's opinion. Did that make sense, everybody?
Yes.
Once you sponsor yourself, everybody else is going to quit or not quit. Make sense?
Yes.
Excellent. So we're going to take a 15-minute break. Your job is to decide and tell the person that invited you, I'm number 1. I'm in. If you can show me how this works, validate it and truly. And see, I'm going to take it off the person that invited you, because you sit here saying, well, I'm just a guest. That's what I'm saying. I'm just a guest. No, you're no longer a guest. In fact, if you don't go to the person that invited you, I'm telling them to sign you up as a customer and just never talk to you again in life about the business.
Right.
Because we're looking for leaders. We aren't looking for followers.
Right.
Yes.
So we're asking you to at least take a stand and say, you know what? Nasala, it's not for me. I love that quicker than somebody not saying anything. Tell me it's not for you. Is that a fair enough deal?
Yes.
Say, you know what? Thank you for inviting me. It's not for me. God, I'm going to give you a hug and love you so much more. Or tell me it is for me. I'm the one who you're looking for. Or tell me I need this information to understand. And if you can show me how this can work for me, based on these few questions, you got a player on your team. Be one of those 3 people. It's not for me. It's for me. Or I have a few questions, and this is what will convict me to being a part of your team. Now it is your responsibility, if you're here as a guest, to let the person that invited you here know. Give them one of those 3 answers. We'll take a 15-minute break, and I'll be back here to be able to do a solid training. God bless.